YouTube family of believers. This is Daughter of the Most High, and I want to share a little bit more about what God has been doing in my life. It's like another side or another layer of what God's been doing in my life. And so, as I shared in a previous video, that God has been drawing my attention to the clock, and that began in August of 2018. And when he began doing that, the clock would read 11:11, and I did not know what that meant. And I checked into it, and the what it's been unfolding under the past year, what God has been doing in my life. And so, initially, 11:11 meant to me that it was a spiritual awakening, that I would be growing in God, there would be more revelation, and I still believe that it means that. 11:11 on the clock means that. But I've also learned in the past year that we can look up these numbers, or you know, when there's a number, whether it, in the various ways it can come to us. For me, it was my attention being drawn to the clock during these specific times. And we can look that number in the Strong's Concordance, in the Greek and Hebrew dictionaries. So I've been doing that as well, and been learning that God has been leading me down this path to be rapture ready. And some of the times that he has shown me on the clock are clearly an indication pointing to the rapture and preparation for the rapture. And so I had known about the rapture, as many believers had, for years, decades. And to be honest, didn't really think that much of it. I mean, we need an awakening and revelation and rhema words in every area, or we can think that we know and understand something and we really don't. And I can tell you, I didn't before this past year. And I'm so grateful for what God's been doing in my life. So when I began looking up these words, the picture came into focus, and all pointing to the rapture and in preparation for the rapture. So 11:11 in Strong's Concordance in the Greek means to grumble or to murmur. And in the Hebrew dictionary, it means to annihilate or to make waste. And we know that much of the tribulation is going to result in that for unbelievers and believers who did not make a strong enough commitment to God and were left behind. It also, in the Hebrew dictionary, makes reference to the Moabite king, or Moabitish. It's Moabitish. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. It's Moabite or Moabitish king Balak. And as you know from the story in Numbers, I believe it was 24, Numbers chapter 24, that Balak, King Balak, wanted to put a curse on the Israelites. He did not want them to enter his land, and so he tried to enlist Balaam to put a curse on the Israelites, which did not happen. So we can see that he in his fear responded in a negative way and was trying to drive back or harm the Israelites in some way. And so we see a little picture of that happening as part of the end time events that are not too far away. Another time I began to see right away last year, initially it was 11:11 and it was 11:17. And I remember thinking 11 and a half months ago, why do I see 11:17 on the clock? And I thought it was Isaiah chapter 54, 11 through 17, where God talks about how he's going to, what is the verse? No weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue that rises up against you in judgment you shall show to be in the wrong. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord. And because I went through such a really, really rough time 10, 11, 12 years ago, that I thought God was, you know, honoring that promise to me that he was going to, the people that were coming against me, that he would show that I was not who they were saying and believing me to be. And the enemy often uses people to discredit us. It just seems to be like the primary tool in his toolbox to destroy any of God's children that have a call in their life that he wants to use. And he makes, creates a attitude or a pattern of understanding towards a person that discredits them. I'm not saying that very well, but you probably know what I mean, because that's what the enemy often does to people. And that's what my ex and my sister were doing to me. And it really did seem like they were going to win, that they were going to just grind me to a powder. And it didn't work. I have been restored, and now God is using me in these end times, and in other ways previously, but now currently in the end times. So that's what I thought. I thought it was Isaiah 54:11 through 17, but I believe it is too, because God is restoring me. But I looked that up in the Strong's, and in the Hebrew dictionary, it comes from 11:16, and that means, I love this, to be high, elevation, height, high place. And that to me is the rapture. That is God removing us from his wrath that's going to come to the earth. And so again, it's to be high, elevation, height, high place. And in the Greek, it means cargo, burden, merchandise, and also from the word in 1073, to swell out, to be full. So I lean towards the Hebrew definition of that, and I love that God is going to raise believers that are trusting him to remove us from the wrath to come. Another number that I have seen on the clock so many times in the last 11 months is 1212. And I had asked people, along the way, before I had a full understanding, what does 1212 mean on the clock? I see it all the time. God draws my attention to 1212. And 1212, they said it means government. And so when I would see 1212, I would pray for President Trump and his family and, everyone, and pray like Psalm 91 over him and his family, and over Vice President Pence, and just pray that over them. But I also looked it up in Strong's, and in the Greek, 1212 means certain, evident, and manifest. And in the Hebrew, it means in the shadow, protection, and also makes reference to other words. You know how it does that. So also 6738, which means defense or shade, meaning to be in the shade of. It made reference to 410, which means mighty, almighty, power, and strong. And also to 358, which means oak grove, of the house of favor. So that was 1212. And I really like those definitions too, because again, they point to the rapture and God's protection of the church. God would also draw my attention to 1222 on the clock. And so I looked that up, and in the Hebrew, that means gold. Another form for 1220, making reference to 1220, strictly a clipping, gold defense, and also from 1219, a prime root, which I love this one, to gather grapes, also to be isolated, meaning inaccessible by height or fortification. I love that. That's 1219 from the 1222. A prime root, to gather grapes, also to be isolated, meaning inaccessible by height or fortification. In the Greek, it means indeed, doubtless, and also from 1211, a particle of emphasis or explicitness, now, then, also, and doubtless, now, therefore. And it makes reference to 4225, a certain place. So there it is again, the lifting up. Then recently, more recently, I've been seeing 1248 or 1248 on the clock, meaning God's been drawing my attention to 1248. I think there it is again, there it is again. And those of you that have this know how it works, if God's been working with you in that way. So in the Hebrew, 1248 means heir to the throne. I love that. And in the Greek, it means to be an attendant, an aid, a servant, meaning service or minister. So the picture in the Greek is meaning, it's almost like God's his servanthood or his ministry to us. Like, because you served me on the earth, I'm going to lift you up out of this. So it's to be an attendant, aid, service, or minister. I also would see 248. So I would see 1248 and 248. And in the Hebrew, 248 means the arm. And we know the arm of the Lord. How does that verse go where it says the arm of the Lord is not too short, meaning that he can reach into a pit and save us? I wish I had looked up that verse. But the arm of the Lord is something that we see in Scripture, meaning that, his strength and ability to save and rescue us when we turn to him. Then it makes reference to 2200, the arm as stretched out, arm and help, mighty, power, shoulder, strength. Those are all the words God uses, or it gives us a picture of how he can help us and lift us up and protect us. I love that. In the Greek, 248 means to tread out grain, thresh, tread out the corn. I also looked, and we know he's doing that too, don't we? And so if some of you are aware of Rapture at Twilight and Pearl Calleri and Crystal, Love for Jesus, we know that these women have been given the July 17 rapture date. And so you can look up Rapture at Twilight. That is her YouTube channel name. Crystal, Love for Jesus, and Pearl Calleri. And you can look that up and find out more about the July 17th rapture date based on the Overcomer calendar. And Pearl Calleri uses like a biblical mathematics. I don't quite understand it, but I've been listening to these ladies and their channel and just their channels, and how the Lord is using them to prepare the body of Christ, which I love. And I believe too that in Amos, I think it's 3:7, where it says that, we are children of the light and we can know things, and that God will share his truth with the prophets to allow us to prepare. So yes, we know the rapture is a unique and special season, and it does take some preparation to just be lifted up out of the earth. For us, it's great, we're gone, but what about our kids, our people, and everything around us, our homes? So again, you can look more into that by looking up those YouTube channels. But I looked up 7:17, meaning July 17, in Strong's Concordance, and in the Greek, 7:17 means Armageddon. So there that is, and it also makes reference to 2022, which means to pour upon and to pour in. And then it goes to 4023, to hold all around and to clasp. And then 412, these are all part of the 717 reference, means through, all over, around, with respect to, used in various applications of place, cause, or time, denoting the subject, occasion, or superlative point. And I don't think I'm saying that right. Superlative, yes, superlative point, meaning the highest quality or degree. It also makes reference to locality, circuit, matter, circumstance, or general period. About, above, against, at, on behalf of, and also in, if you look up 4012, the X symbol, meaning multiplies the original meaning of the word. So I just want to quickly read 4012. So again, the X symbol in Strong's means to multiply the original meaning of the word. So as we continue on, it's a very lengthy definition here for 4012, but I'll go back to it. We just finished about, above, against, at, on behalf of, and then it shows the X symbol, meaning multiplying, and his company, which concerning, for, X symbol, how it will go with, there, where, of, on, over, pertaining to, for sake, not forsake, one word, but two words, for, like for their sakes, that's us, for their sakes, multiplication symbol again, state as touching, whereby, with, as it relates, it retains substantiality, the same meaning of circuit, meaning around, excess, beyond, or completeness, or through. So all of these definitions, these words, these times on the clock, and these definitions all point to God's protection, and what the rapture is going to mean for people, and his protection around us, which I love. I wanted to share one more thing that